Welcome to the Audio Description Narrators of America Know Your Narrator series. Today, we are proud to present from the American Foundation for the Blind, the Major Gifts Specialist, Melody Goodspeed. And today, she is going to be sharing her thoughts on audio description as an audio description connoisseur. Can we call you that?
Yes. I mean, that's good. I like it.
Okay, great.
I'm so glad to be here with you today.
Thanks for joining us. One of the things that's been really amazing about our conversations in these bonus episodes is that our audience is giving feedback about our audio description experience in a way it's more than just inclusion. It's actually a part of the conversation. You've had an influence in the audio description world yourself. Can you share some about that?
I really got into audio description, but before I go into sharing about that, I want to tell a little bit about me first. So I lost my eyesight when I was 26, and it's been 17 years, actually this past June 6th to be exact, that I have been totally blind. And it's a huge, I can't even express the emotion that I feel even saying that right now. But, one of the things that I really loved to do was, being and loving, like going to the movies with my friends or hanging out, and you don't realize how much discussion goes around things that you see visually, even if it's just a walk or the little things that you have in life, but they have huge meaning. And it's just, I really found, fast forward to now, being a blind individual, that it wasn't until the past couple of years that the audio description has really come into play. And the first time, I would go to the movies or watch something with my family or my friends, and I would feel so left out and alone. I just felt like they would have these conversations and they could talk about, the beautiful things that are going on, and I was missing it. And I just felt like I was not a part of this bigger picture, and it really hurt. And it was very painful, and it was also just made me feel the loss over and over and over again. And I know that that might sound a little tricky, but it's true. You have these little things in life that you take for granted until they're no longer there. So with that being said, I was introduced to when I first watched my first show with audio description. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And I get to see what's going on. And I was able to, interject in conversations, laugh at something and get into it. And I was so happy. It was almost like life had given me something back that I needed. Audio description gave me back something that I seriously needed. So then I became a huge nerd about it. I had to go check in, and I would check everything out. Does this have audio description? How do you get audio description? Okay, how do I find this on my TV? Wait, what? There's no audio description? And then I noticed, and then, something came out where movie theaters were going to start having it. And oh my gosh, was I thrilled. I was going to be able to go to the movies and watch a movie and not have someone in my ear, because I felt like I was taking the experience away from them. And it just didn't feel the same. So there was, again, something else audio description gave me: fun at the movies again, in my own little world, munching on popcorn if I wanted to, and just enjoying it and having an hour and a half to 2 hours just to have a good time. So that's a little bit there's a lot there, but I thought it was very important for me to highlight that, how important audio description is for so many reasons.
Oh, thanks for sharing every single minute of that taking the experience away from you is now, but it's not taken away from you. It's given back in a way that a part of the conversation.
Yeah, it does. It really does. So as I got to be, more and more into this, I started noticing that I feel like I think I've said to you before, I sort of feel like I'm turning into this audio descriptive snob a bit, because I'm really listening into finding if someone's not oh my gosh, that clip came in a little too quick, or this maybe this person or this artist, which it is an art form, totally art form, maybe wasn't the right fit for that. Or I think this, just really sitting in, and I'm finding myself sort of analyzing and enjoying at the same time. So it's really fun for me to go through that and be like, okay, well, if I had to do that differently, and I got the experience to actually produce something and be a part of that, which was, oh my gosh, so very amazing to me, which opened my eyes to more things, which we'll get into a little bit later on that. But going back to my snobbery,
Yes.
It's just so important. I listened to something the other day, and I knew that it was totally artificial intelligence. And I love, all of my objects. Like, I have a computer that talks to me all day. That's synthetic, a synthesized voice. I have, my Siri. We have, Alexa. We have all those things which I couldn't live without. Like a lot of us, right? So we couldn't live without those things. And I support and love them. But this is an art form that brings so much, especially from the things I've learned about the writers, the narrators, just everything about it is just so incredibly exciting to me. And I love entering this world of knowing more about it and how it works and how critical and important it is to bring to the world.
If we could go back to the AI voice, why not AI? If it's working for you on the computer or the phone or your devices.
Oh, well, okay. So I guess I want to put this into an analogy.
Here we go.
Go ahead and think of this. You're at work and you're tired, right? Everybody comes home from work. And I'm saying this from sighted and non-sighted, but we're just going to you come home from work and you're tired. And what do people want to do? They want to pop in front of their television and take 5 minutes or whatever it is they need to do. Mm-hmm. If you turn on your TV and you're watching the show and everybody was talking in a robot voice with not much inflection, or it's very sterile, how would that make you feel? I just want people to kind of think about that for a second. How would that make you feel? Would you want to watch TV? No, you wouldn't. It would drive you nuts. And it's the monotoning, and you can't, that level, the art that goes into it, what I was saying about art before of audio description, is the timing that goes into it. I think you and I have talked about, the picture is worth 1,000 words, which is always stuck in my head. And the fact that, the ability that you're able to pull out the most vital parts of that scene, break them down to a level that creates and paints that picture in my mind as it's going on. And it takes time and it takes energy and it takes, from what I can tell of the things I've been through, voice inflections and all of that, it takes time to be able to mold yourself into the scene of a movie and be adding and enhancing to it, but not taking away from it. And it's a delicate balance from what I've learned and what I've experienced through my own ear, is being able to do that, but still kind of be in the shadows. And audio descriptive narrators do that. I mean, they are there to enhance and to build and to take it seriously, and not to take away from the show or the event, but to add to it, add value. And that is what I would say is the beauty of it.
It's no wonder you have such a high palate taste of audio description. Preference. And obviously that comes from a lot of exposure too. You've probably seen hundreds, thousands of movies or TV shows, and it sounds like you're noticing it, that it does make a difference.
I am. It does. It makes a huge difference. And another thing that I've kind of come snobby about too, Roy, that I'm going to go in so we can talk about this for hours, is, when I'm, in a show and will be a series, right? So there's a series I'll be watching and they'll switch descriptive narrators in a different season or even in a different episode. And it's kind of like reading a book on Audible or whatever. Once you all can relate to that too, right? So once you're reading a different book and the voice changes and there's a whole new narrator, you're like, wait, what? It loses the consistency, it takes away again from the show. And I also want to add too, that takes away from the people that have created the entertainment piece. It does. It totally takes away from that whole experience and the work that they've put into with the visual. So it's another thing too, I find when that happens, gets a little frustrating.
Yeah. And I've never heard it put in that way too, that there's a lot of misconceptions about audio description taking away from the visuals, but you just said the exact opposite. It becomes a part of the visual experience for you.
It does. And, I'm all about inclusion, like at AFB, just as in my role, what I do for the American Foundation for the Blind, and also just as a person that's blind. Advocacy is a huge thing. But what really is huge for me is inclusion. When I'm looking at something or experiencing something, I like to think that we're people, right? At the end of the day, we're just people. We all perceive things in different ways. Even with my sight, we do. It's not our eyes that make us see. It's our minds and our hearts that help us. That's what we see with. Our eyesight or lack thereof is just what is picking it up. So when audio description is so good for people that can see too, for multiple reasons, there's an education level, or you're in a car, like most cars, like that have, vans or something, and you have kids and they want to watch movies. The driver, you can put on your movie and watch it, and it has audio description. So of course you're able to quote unquote watch and drive at the same time, because you're turning it into an experience for someone who's sighted. So, and I can say that because I have 2 children. We're on long car rides together, and we need those on, and it's just nice to be able to experience with that too. So, and people commute. I mean, not even that. You get stuck in a car, people commute. It's just turning it in. It does so many things. There's so many creative aspects. It's not just in movies. It's in advertisements. It's even at work. It's presentations. There's so many directions, and I think that people really need to expand their outlook in what it is that you're creating.
Great points beyond the movies and TV shows.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's critical. I got to tell you, I went to a presentation the other day that was so well crafted, and it gave the audio description of 2 people sitting. It read the captioning. Having it fully accessible, it unites us, makes us united.
Can we talk about your involvement with audio description directly, not as a consumer, but as a guide with Equality?
So I think with inclusion with that, I had the really great experience of being on the back end and having a piece produced. When I was listening to it, I was in awe of it. And the reason why I was just really in awe is because, you hear about, kind of like a puzzle piece. You hear about, okay, well, there is the people who write, and then there is the piece. And then, knowing that what I've learned about it comes down to, the writers and the narrators at the very end. And then when you're looking in production, it was just so amazing and beautiful to watch that being said and hear the words that are chosen to use to describe something. So, for example, there was a piece that was going on where a woman was extremely proud, a blind individual who's being featured in it. And she was really proud of things that she had done. And she was, smiling. And I felt when she was talking that the word smiling didn't kind of feel like it was adequate. It needed more adjectives to it. So I was thinking about like how she was smiling proud. I was just murmuring, and it was like, oh my gosh, no. And a bingo in my brain, it was like, no, she's proud. She's like smiling proudly. And the way that it was put into the way and voice inflection that was given, that the narrator was using, felt that and got that too, and put it in with that, and was able to say it in a way. And I know it's just words, but words speak to your heart and they speak to your mind, as we've said before. And so the way that was produced and done, and I got to be a part of that, even it just made me feel really good. And so when I do, even with my own job or talking about audio description, I'm such an advocate for it in the way of, telling friends and family about it. And this kind of thought just kind of came to me. It makes me feel like I'm contributing to a really meaningful conversation, because people get excited to hear about, I used to get so annoyed when people like, well, do you watch TV? And it's like, yes, I watch TV. And one time someone's like, well, how do you do that? And I was like, I stand on my head and then
touch your nose twice. And then I think you flick your wrist or something. I don't know.
Yes.
Some button on the remote.
Yeah. I'm like, no, wait. I'm just kidding.
Had him going for
people are so afraid to say what you do. Watch TV. Did you see that? Like, whatever. It's like, yeah, you don't hear a movie. You watch a movie. So it just made me So it's like it's like gets back to that, and it's just another way that it's able to say, like, when someone's coming up to a person that's blind or vision impaired, that it's okay to say watch a movie, because we are actually watching it. It's inclusion, right? So it's like, oh my gosh, did you see the scene where the girl fell out? And like, wait, well, how'd you know that? And it's like, oh geez, like. But at the end of the day, it's like a really good discussion to have with people, because you're getting value. So yeah, I had to add a little humor to that, because that's how I roll.
Sure. Well, I'm wondering if there's going to be a department of the American Foundation for the Blind that's going to protect the sighted people from language that's like eye and look and see and perceive.
Yeah, I know. And the other, I mean, not at AFB, but I remember when I got back into the work world after losing my sight, which that's all other issue we're going to talk about right now. But someone literally was saying, I didn't talk to me for 3 months because they didn't want to say, I'll see you later. Like, it's just bizarre.
Wow.
I mean, yeah. And these are real things. So so bringing it back to, audio description, it touches so many different areas as we're having this discussion right now, that I'm even just realizing myself as we speak.
Where do you see audio description going?
Oh, okay. So
where would you like it to go?
Oh, okay.
There
All right.
go.
So where would I like it?
Yes.
Where would I like it to go? Okay. So where I would like it to go is, what I've noticed again in Snobbery. I was wondering, like, that's the melody from Snobbery. But that's okay. I like to think it's tasteful Snobbery. I would like to see it go. And I'll give you a perfect example. You go to the movie theater and you get held, handed the device to do the audio description that goes in your ear. So people that are listening that aren't familiar with audio description, it's basically I'm just, getting a headset that I put on. And so when the movie starts, if there's parts that have, the nonverbal, then the audio description kicks in. The problem that I see right now is that there is, when it comes to going from the theater sometimes to being released for, to stream or whatever, Blu-ray, it doesn't carry over. And what I would really like to see is it being streamlined from the movies to the consumer to bring home. That would be a huge thing. And not only that, I've noticed in some areas where movies do have it in the theater, like I remember the voice and how I felt during the movie, just like anybody does. Like you're in that action. And then when you get it, so it could be somebody that also, it's not the same narrator. And I've seen some situations where it's not the same, or it's not the same quality, and quality is so important. It's just really important. So that's what I would like to see that part go. And another way that I would like to see it is just as I had said before, is bringing it like outside the box, not just to the movie theater, not just to Netflix, not just to streaming services, because we're all moving into that, it's also to bring it into the workplace during presentations. It's bringing it into, the ability that anywhere that you can use that you need description. It's even live description when you are at a conference or a presentation or something like that. I had a conversation today with someone that had nothing to do with audio description, but we were talking about first responders. Right now we're in a really critical time, right? Mm-hmm. What happens with a person who's blind or vision impaired needs to get out of somewhere quickly? What do we have to do? We have to think and know where we are and be oriented. We were talking about how great would it be if there was an app where you could call and someone could know where you are. They have the map of where it is. Having that in an area, whether it's a hotel or in a lobby or whatever, and then helping you get out of there safely. Just to have someone with you. I mean, there are so many different ways. I know that that's like broad spectrum, but I'm a big thinker. So when I think and I see and I get really passionate about something, it's like, what do we do to build it? What do we do to make it good for everyone? What do we do to include everybody in this amazing mission? Because it's going to do nothing but create jobs and help people understand the lives that are people that are blind and vision impaired, and that we are just people at the end of the day. So that's a long thing that I just came up because I got really excited about that conversation earlier. But I also would love to see it, just to being streamlining, but it's another place for people for getting jobs. It's an art form. I myself love it. And just from audio descriptions inspired me in two ways. That would be, I just started my own our own series at AFB called Inform and Connect, and being able to interview people of all different walks in life. And then another area is being the voice of Abby, who is a fashion icon for Bold Blind Beauty. And I really sit and think about how would someone who is in the field of audio description or like work this? How would they want to bring this to life? So it's really helped me in those two key areas as well. It really does. I want to be able to use those inflections, those words, those colorful words, to be able to bring the audience in, to lean into what's being said. And that's so important. It's important to be able to lean into comfort. It's important to lean into something that really grabs you, you're passionate about. I don't think, we take that stuff for granted. It's just nice to be able to, close your eyes and then lean into a movie and just be comforted and relaxed, or being in a presentation and feeling like, oh my gosh, I didn't miss anything because it was all there. I could be at work and I could add more value because I understood everything that was being said. There's just so many amazing places to go.
And with that lean in, it goes back to what you said earlier about seeing with your mind and your heart, that to lean in, to me, the first thing that comes to mind is engagement, that there's a connection there that, even back at the beginning of our conversation, that engagement, that connection is a part of the big picture, that you can feel a part of the conversation in a way that keeps you from being left out.
It does. And not only that, it also strengthens. So it strengthens a relationship. So for example, if you're at work or you're anywhere and you're walking by and you hear someone say, oh my gosh, did you see that movie? You're like, oh my gosh, I did. And you can have that conversation. And then it's like the next date or the next, you're just building that relationship still, because then like you have that understanding of saying, hey, I can talk to that person, or it's okay, I can feel comfortable. And then you can start to get, it just brings that level to where you're building relationships. That's something that I feel very passionate about, because we cannot do anything in this world without people that are in our arena and that we want to reach out and make change and effort. And we can't do that if it's not fully accessible and if it's not done in a way with integrity and a positive mission.
Mic drop there for you, Melody. Is there anything else you'd like to share that we haven't covered?
I urge people to really, check it out. If you grabbing somebody, talk about it. If you have questions, find out about it. And just, another thing that I'm going to shout out to is just, I have learning about Spectrum Access, which is an amazing app. I do want to talk about that really quick. It's like, when I found something that I got to use it the other night when there was a show that came on just from the movie theater and didn't come out as voice as audio descriptive. And I was able to pull that app up, and sure enough, it was there and it synced right to it. And I was like really excited. And what was also really cool is that my son paused the movie. I'm like, wait, what? I'm still going. And I was able to resync it. So that was really, really cool. And I loved that. But
you didn't have to start it from the top then.
I didn't have to start from the top, and I was a little worried we'd have to, but no, they didn't. So Spectrum Access, kudos to you. And I loved it. And it was really, 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 it was really kind of exciting. I was jumping around like I was a little kid, but hey, But no, I've so enjoyed this time with you and talking about this. I'm so passionate about it. And people that are looking to do this as a career, you're rock stars, and know that you're doing this for not just the blind community, but it's for that greater conversation and that greater good, and with all of us.
Oh, thanks for saying that. How can we follow you, Melody, and how can we follow your Abby?
I started my Inform and Connect series at the American Foundation for the Blind. So if you go to afb.org, my email address and contact information is on the site, but it's mgoodspeed@afb, A as in apple, F as in Frank, B as in boy.org. And if you want to find me as the voice of Abby, you just need to go to boldblindbeauty.com. And there you will find several interviews that I've done as Abby, who is just it's just been such an amazing experience to be her. But yeah, that's how you can find it. And then on Instagram, it's Melody_Goodspeed_Sparkle.
Very good. And speaking of sparkle, there's been so many sparkles in this conversation. Thank you so much. This has been great to share this time with you and hear all the perspectives and all the different nuances to audio description that you brought up.
Well, I really thank you for having me. And I this has been so much fun for me. And I couldn't be more thrilled. And I just love being a part of this. So thank you so much.